Hello everybody, Prowl here, and today I have done it. I have created the fastest general mob farm that exists in Bedrock Edition today. This is the culmination of several weeks worth of work. It's big, it's expensive, but it's not overly complicated. I'm gonna make creating this for you guys actually really easy. We'll start out by talking a little bit about how this thing works and why it's so fast, and just giving you some general information and things that you need to know. And then after that, we'll actually dive into the building part as well. I will have chapters made up in this video, so if you want to skip around to specific parts that you find most important, you can do that. But I do recommend listen to the whole video beginning to end at first, just to make sure that you get everything right and you understand anything that is important. And likely I'll answer any questions that you may come up with along the way in that section. And lastly, before we dive in, if you enjoy these types of videos, you like Bedrock Edition tutorials, guides, and more, make sure you click the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Those things let me know that you want more of this, and it lets that YouTube algorithm know that you want to see more of it too. So thanks a lot, and let's go ahead and jump in. So first of all, this farm is a semi-split density farm. I'll go over that a little bit later when we're actually setting up in the video. This does work specifically on simulation distance 4. So for all of you that just play on default settings in your world, that means that you likely play on simulation distance 4. This will completely work in your world. So it doesn't matter if you're on an Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, mobile device, Realm, server, whatever. You can technically make it bigger if you run a higher simulation distance, although I'm not going to go over that much here today, other than maybe a mention as we go through and do some of the building. I have tried to make this thing as lag friendly as possible because it does have 16 trident killers, and yes, you do need all of these trident killers. You cannot combine things in to different areas. It's not going to work. It's going to slow the farm down significantly if you do. If you don't mind the farm being slowed down some, then you can combine chambers with like pushing mobs with the water stream. But I'm going to recommend that you don't do that and you go with a version of this that I'm going to make in a later tutorial that uses a lot of the same tech that I've used here, but made in a way that is going to be a little bit less laggy and a little bit more straightforward to build, I guess. So let's say you're on a lower end mobile device and for some reason running all these trident killers is a little bit laggy for you. You can just simply change the repeater timers and put them all on 2 tick instead of all of them, but 1 are on 2 tick right now. So you can do that, but it is going to slow the farm down a little bit. So keep that in mind. We want it over just any base land, over the ocean, over a frozen ocean. All of those things should be fine. Don't put it over top of a mushroom biome. Don't put it over top of a river and any other place that you know that restricts mobs that can spawn. I will show you a material list here in a little bit, but yes, you are going to need Skulk Catalyst. Otherwise, the XP created by the system is going to build up. I could not find a good, reliable way to pull the XP out of the system that would allow the trident killers to run at a fast enough speed to kill the mobs quickly and be able to get the drops out, the XP out, and clear the mob cap fast enough. So you are going to want a few Skulk Catalysts to basically erase that XP for you. And we are using water to move everything. That way we only need 1 storage system. If you try to use hoppers to move everything, it's not going to work. You would have to have a minimum of 4 separate storage systems. So I opted to go with ice and with water to move all the items across here and line them up to where they go into the hoppers, go into their own separate sorters, and get us our drops. And speaking of those drops, the final rate, 20,000 plus drops per hour, making this the fastest general mob farm in Bedrock Edition, including over 8,000 rotten flesh, 3,500 gunpowder, 3,000 bones, 3,500 arrows, a bunch of non-stackable stuff, which I did collect some here. I like to have some. And then a bunch of the miscellaneous drops that you get for witches and other things. And then there are trash cans for each section. So that way, whenever you hit overflow of one area, the extra will get thrown into the trash rather than stop up your system or create a whole bunch of items from collecting somewhere and breaking this part of the system. Lastly, the placement of everything is going to be important as well. You're going to want to go up as high as I tell you to. You're going to want to place this thing on a chunk border, and you're going to want to make sure that these guys are the correct distance apart. You're going to want to make sure that you follow my guide or my method of placing down all of the water and blocking all of the appropriate spots, I will show you how all of this works. You are going to want the coral fans because the coral fans make the mobs drop down the chutes faster. And you are going to want this little water stop that I have down here to keep mobs from falling on impact. All of those things are going towards making your rates as fast as they can possibly be for this farm. As you can see here, I have used certain tools to make sure that we maximize the amount of space that we use inside of the spawnable area on Simulation Distance 4. This is the markers pack, by the way, made by Foxy No Tail. This does show you that we do perfectly fit this thing inside of the spawnable area. So we're using as many of those spawnable spots as possible to get as many mob spawns as possible. That's why placement is so very important in this. We are working with very tight margins. When it comes to aligning this thing inside of chunks, the main thing is, and I'll show you here in a moment, you just want it to be on a chunk border that matches up with your farm. So you want to stand on a border, and then on one side of that border, you do one side of the farm, and then on the other side, you do the other side of the farm. I'll tell you how many blocks away you have to put it in all of that, but just know that that's how you lay out on the border like this. There's a lot of things that you're going to want to make sure that you do so it works properly. So again, stick with me. Anything I tell you that's required to be that way, you need to do it that way. I think that gets most of the disclaimers out of the way. So now let's actually hop into a world and show you how to start building. And in case you're wondering what your material list is and needs to be, here it is. Ignore the water bucket part because that's counting all of the water blocks that exist in the whole farm. You can see everywhere where I've used smooth stone, scaffolding, and yes, you are going to need that much scaffolding. It'll tell you in raw number of blocks there, and it'll tell you how many shulker boxes full, plus how many stacks, plus how many numbers of a stack that it takes in total to get that many materials, okay? I will scroll down here. And you can pause at this point to see everything that it is you're going to need. Read the words, don't look at the icons. Some of the icons don't match up just because little bugs in Bedrock Edition. Okay, so as we get started with this in the world, a couple things I want to note. Ignore the fact that I have these armor stands on these gold blocks over here. This is for my hollow print add-on. It is going to help me while I do the tutorial just kind of figure out where to put a few things. You're not going to see this up most of the time, and when you do, it may just be like a layer at a time or something like that. Hollow print, by the way, is available. You can go check out my video on it if it's something you want to use to help you build really big, massive things that you've planned out in like a creative test world or something like that. Remember where you need to put this. So you see, I might have some rivers here around me, but I did plan this out to where the spawn areas, they're not above the rivers. So we're good. And then very importantly as well, you do want to make sure that this is on a chunk border, or if you want to play it really safe, you could put it on a chunk corner. So there is a chunk border right here. So I'm going to put one farm on this side of the border and then one farm on this side of the border. So that way you guys know where things need to line up. This is important to get the maximum rates. It will make a difference of somewhere around 10% faster versus just picking any random spot. And about this starting block, if you're playing on Simulation Distance 4, you're going to want to go up about 50 blocks from the ground. So find a place on the ground, go up 50 blocks. You're also going to want to make sure there's no big hills beside you. Like I wouldn't want to go up 50 blocks from this spot right here because there's all of these blocks here that could be spawnable for mobs. So kind of get in like an area that is either flat or work from the highest point of wherever that general area that you're working is. If you're Simulation Distance 6, you're going to want to go up at least, let's say, about 100 blocks. If you're Simulation Distance 8 or higher, go up about 130 blocks from ground level or from sea level if you're doing this above water. Now, this is the center of your farm, but it's not our AFK spot, not yet. To find our AFK spot that we're going to eventually work with, that's going to be 32 blocks above. So go from here, go up 32 blocks in the air. That 32nd block, this is going to be your AFK spot. So 32 blocks up. This is your AFK spot. Mark it with a special block, something that looks different than everything else. That way you know this is my center. You're going towards the chunk border when we're building out towards that way. So we're going to say we're facing the chunk border direction right now for this next part that we're about to do. Okay, so going out from our center block right here where we were standing, we're going to want to make a platform where our storage system is going to go. And we are facing our chunk border direction. So that chunk border goes across right here. We're going to go 9 blocks towards the chunk border, then 5 blocks back the other way. We're going to go 13 blocks to the right of the chunk border and 25 blocks to the left of that. So again, that is 9 blocks up, 5 blocks back, 13 blocks to the right, 25 blocks to the left. This is going to be your platform for your storage. Okay, next, from that center spot that you have marked right there, you're going to want to go up 8 blocks, and you're going to want to go out in each direction 21 blocks from that center. So starting with this one being number 1 to this one being number 21, just to make a couple of platforms where we're going to be able to work from to build our trident killers to make things easier for you guys. I did not include these in the material list, so if you want these platforms, you are going to need to bring a few extra blocks. Now, both these platforms are the same. Once you get to this point right here where you start the platform, you're going to want to go out 17 blocks in this direction, starting from there, 17 blocks in this direction, starting from right there, and then 18 blocks in that direction, meaning that this total platform will be 25 blocks wide by 18 blocks deep, and you'll do the other one over there exactly the same. Okay, next we're going to do similar to what we did over here, but this is going to be for the ground level of our farm. This is the bottom of the farm. After this point, we're just going to focus on building one side, and you can take the exact thing I do on one side and do it on the other. But I wanted to make sure that you got your platforms in the right spot first. So from, again, that center point that we've had marked right there, you're going to want to go 17 blocks up, that being block number 1, this being block number 17. And then you're going to want to go 23 blocks out in each direction. So this being block number 21 and this right here being block number 23. Same for the other side over there. Now we will start on the side where we are facing that chunk border. So going this way, starting from this block right here, you're going to want to go 16 blocks in this direction. This being block number 1, this being block number 16. So 16 blocks across. And then this way, you want to go 17 blocks. This being block number 1, this being block number 17. Meaning that in total, your platform here is 34 blocks long. Then, starting from this block right here, you want to go 18 blocks this way. This being block number 1, that being block number 18, giving you a total platform size of 34 blocks wide by 18 blocks deep. Turning around to this side, you're going to do the same thing, but just flipped, meaning 16 blocks this way, 17 blocks this way, 18 blocks back, giving you a total of 34 blocks wide by 18 blocks deep. Just this time again, the 16's on the right, the 17's on the left. You'll notice you have this right because this will make them line up. Now that we have the platform, now I'm going to show you how to make a single layer of this platform. So again, this is going to be the same for either side. So we're just going to do one side here. We're going to start in the corner where we just fill in the corner like this. And we're going to basically just build a big wall around here where our corner that we are working in gets filled in with that block right there. Okay, here we go. Hopefully, just showing you an overhead of this grid will make it easier to place down because I can't figure out a really good way to put it into words. It is repeated. So once you kind of get like one section, you just kind of take that you just keep applying it downwards. But this grid is incredibly important to get correct. And the reason why is because it perfectly blocks spiders while also allowing water to flow towards the center holes without any dead spots, and allows for the maximum or largest amount of spawning spots available that are unblocked. All of these things were considered when I made this grid, and hopefully that right there helps you figure out how to make it. Next, we need to get scaffolding in, and the scaffolding just goes everywhere except for the holes. Everywhere where there's not solid blocks, it goes everywhere else. So I'm just going to use my little tool here to get it in nice and easy. And then pop out the holes where our mobs are going to fall. Don't forget to grab your coral fans and put those in. Again, the mobs think they can actually walk on these, so it makes them more likely to fall down the center quicker when they are being pushed by the water. So we do want the coral fans here on the edges. Next, we're going to go up another layer with the outer wall. Just do the very outer portion. And here we're going to want to have some spots that are slabs and some spots that are solid blocks. So our solid blocks are going to be the ones around the hole and these diagonal ones. So the ones around the hole and the diagonally facing ones will be the solid blocks. And then everywhere else, which will be the 2x2s in the center, and all the ones along the edge, all of these will be slabs. And yes, they do need to be slabs. Don't use anything else that you can waterlog. We will be waterlogging these, but slabs are going to work best versus trapdoors, fences, whatever else you could think of that you could use here. Just stick with the slabs. Okay, next 2 steps. First, we need to block. Okay, accidentally missed one right here. Actually, I knocked it out with water. I was doing some testing. What we need to do is we need to keep water from going into these holes, and we're going to use open fence gates for that. Open fence gates are really easy. Just place some fence gates down, open them up. Now water cannot flow into this hole, but mobs can freely go through without hitting anything. So put open fence gates in all of your holes. Once you have all your fence gates in and open, go ahead and put water on all of your slabs. Everywhere you have a slab, go ahead and just put a water bucket on it to make it into a water source block. And once you're finished, if you've done everything right, this is what you're going to have. The little lines of water flow always lead to the 2x2 open hole drop chute that we're going to drop all the mobs down. You should see no spaces where water is stopped or going straight into a block where a mob would potentially get trapped. This is the science behind everything, and this is how a layer works. And also on top of that, that's your first layer complete. Now we just need to repeat that up a bunch of times. And by a bunch of times, what I mean is we're going to have 11 total layers. So you've made 1. You need to do this upwards 10 more times, where you start out with your floor above here. So I'm just going to use my copy paste command, but you'll be able to see what I do when I paste this in. And then I go and take a look. We have gone from this guy right here. See, it's a two tall height. And then our floor that was here is now our floor for this one. And it's just going to repeat up again. And it's going to do that a total of 11 layers. Okay, next we're going to do the trident killers, and we're going to start on the back side here. Let's go ahead and just go to one of our holes here, go to the corner and come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 blocks. And then go ahead and just make a 4x4 square that sits like right under here, right? So we're going to go this way by 3, this way by 3, this way by 3, and then connect this together. Fill this in. We can get rid of this for now. And you'll see that we now have a hole that is just centered, our drop chute is centered on these 4 blocks. We're now going to want to take pistons and face them on facing the right hand side of each part. Like we're standing on this little center square here. We're going to face one on the right hand side here, the right hand side here, here, and here. We're going to put a trapdoor on one side, on our side facing like this center row. We're gonna put a trapdoor right here, and then solid blocks everywhere else. Then we're going to put solid blocks on top of each of the pistons. We're going to have an observer facing outwards. So if we like stand right here by the piston and place the observer here, the observer's looking out. We want the observer to look out. So stand by your piston, place your observer down, and that will get the observer looking in the right direction. You put one here too, just crouch when you do it. That way you don't just flip the trapdoor up and down. Now, starting from our trapdoor side here, we're going to have a repeater facing out from this solid block right here. Leave that on 1 tick. The next one, put that on 2 ticks. The next one 1 tick. The next one 1 tick. We've now created a trident killer, and we've specifically done 2 ticks on this guy right here because it gives the pistons just a long enough pause to allow water to flow out and have the items, the drops, come out right here. We took out that block. Also, I need to stop this thing really quick. You'll probably want to have a extra lever on you just to make turning this thing on and off really easy. We can face anywhere, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna put it right here. Because one thing I forgot to do that I need to do is we do need to put water via, we do need to put stairs down here, here, and here, basically in all the spots that our trapdoor is not at. And then we want to place water in those stairs. So now when I turn this thing on, you'll see the water always flows out this way. And also, I think it's this one right here is going to be where we run our power to a little bit later on. That power will have this piston stay out, meaning that if we turn this thing off, we stop the trident killer. This water and this water both flow to right here and flows our items outwards. And this delay, this pause that we have right here, will stay in place longer here, allowing this to happen and push our water out as well. This is why we designed the trident killer in this way. Okay, next we want to take solid blocks and just place them above all of the repeaters like so. You can use tinted glass or solid blocks here, doesn't matter. I'm gonna use tinted glass because I like to be able to see in wherever possible. We're also going to want to take tinted glass or solid blocks and place it around the outside just like this. You don't need that corner one technically, but you can leave it there if you want to, up to you. We're gonna do tinted glass here again. I'm going to then go ahead and place a solid block here, 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 and here. We're gonna put water right there. Before we do that, let's put our tinted glass here, here. We already have some there. Now, what I want to do is I want to break in here just temporarily. I want to put a button here, here, and here, because I want water to be able to flow in these spots, but I don't want it to flow right here. So I've put buttons around this side right here and then right here. And what you're going to see when I place a water bucket down, what we get is a flow of water across everywhere except for this one spot. That is as intended, that's as designed. We don't want water to be right there. And then lastly, we can go ahead and we can close this guy up just like that. And then you don't need these spots open, so I can technically kind of close that in to keep this like a 2x2. Meaning I can get rid of this little row and this little row right there and right there. And I don't need this row here or here either. So that's what we should be left with. You have basically a little water blade that just moves any mobs out this way down into here. This was actually really important. It was our way after, I don't know how many days of trying to solve the fact that creepers would get stuck right here because creepers and witches like to float, whereas skeletons and zombies like to just sink through it. This way we get to move them over and drop them down into there. But we had to have something here because otherwise the mobs up top would just fall so fast. They would die when they hit the top of the pistons there. And that made our farm rates slower. So again, all these things have kind of been done to maximize this whole process. And then we've taken what we have here and we've done the same thing over here. But you can just see it's been reversed. So the trapdoor lines up on the left-hand side when facing this one. Whereas when facing this one's on the right hand side. It's just going to make it easier when we do our water streams in a little bit to do this. And what we want to do is we want to take these guys and we just want to repeat what we've done with both of them in these next sets of spots. Now we need to do the top. You go ahead and place some wall blocks around just like this. We want to fill the inside of this with tinted glass. We're using tinted glass here because it allows the top layer to be counted as a surface spawn and instead of a cave spawn. Anything that has like sky access counts as a surface spawn in Bedrock Edition. It has a different mob cap. 8 mobs can exist on the surface on Bedrock Edition, whereas 16 can exist in the caves. Caves being just below a solid block. Glass doesn't count as a solid block, but in this case, tinted glass does block light from getting in. So it allows us to keep the light level at 0, while at the same time, the properties of it allow us to keep this as surface. So it allows us to have 8 mobs on the surface, 16 mobs down below, for a total of 24 mobs available that can spawn on this side at a time. And we don't want mobs to spawn up here, so we're just going to spawn proof it. You can use slabs, buttons, carpets, anything that would stop a mob from being able to spawn up here is totally fine. You could even put torches or lights up here because none of that light's able to get into there anyways. So if you want to decorate things to make it look a certain way, make it look cool, light it up, whatever, that's fine as well. All right, so these next parts are very easy and straightforward. So I've already put them in so I could just show you what it looks like because it'll be simpler and easier to do it that way. So we need power running to all of our trident killers to turn them on and off. You should have tridents in all of them now. I think I mentioned that earlier in case I didn't. Go ahead and get 3 tridents inside of each one of these, at least 2. I mean, 1 is fine, but 2 is going to be faster. 3 is going to be even faster than that. It'll help improve your rates. What you want to do is come along to the left side, go ahead and run a repeater into the side of each one of these blocks on the left hand side of your trident killers, and make sure you have power going into all of them. This is going to be your on off switch. You see here, I just have it running down glass. I've added in a repeater every so often to keep the signal going. When I turn this off, all of my trident killers turn on, they start running. When I turn this on, all my trident killers stop because they have power locking them all. Remember, your one repeater that is different is going to be the one beside your repeater that goes into lock. So you see it's this guy right here. It's this guy right here. It's this guy right here. Okay, all of your repeaters are 1 tick except for the one right beside the locking repeater, the one that turns the system on and off. You see, I have it all exactly the same. It all goes to the same spot of all of these guys to lock it all in. Next, we have our water flow. We have dropped down 2 blocks. 1, 2. 2 blocks down. All of our items drop down into there. You need to use packed ice. Put your packed ice down. The items will work their way down through our little hole where the trap door is. So our items will get knocked around in here. They will then fall out right here and go down into this water stream and then make their way down this way. We let the water just flow down with a water source right there underneath that drop spot. And then the water does end. And then right here at each intersection, we put a button. So that way this water doesn't flow that way. And we just let our items flow all the way down all 4 of these spots. You see how it works its way out right here. Everything comes down this way and heads out to the center. Now that same thing is going to happen on the other side. It just happens on the same side that we've done that on. That way we can combine all of our items together. I've already gone through and put in our other side as well. You should have everything line up exactly with the other side if you've lined it all up right, like I mentioned earlier. Everything will then come to this middle point right here. And we just pop out that 1 block in the middle. these items will work their way down into the middle here. Same for over there. You see, we just put a button down everywhere where we want to start a new water stream, and those items will just zip on across. Then we do this little zigzag right here because we want the items to get pushed over against this chest. Very important. The items need to get pushed against this chest right here. That way they actually line up to where they're technically over top of these hoppers and they get sucked in. We have put down fence gates right here, open fence gates to keep the water from flowing out that way. And then we just have glass on the other side, and it's on top of the packed ice just like everything else was. So all this is doing is it's keeping the items flowing down in this direction all the way down. What I've done is at this first break right here, I've done our hoppers in groups of 5. You could do them however you want to. Organizationally, this works really good. So place 5 hoppers forward, skip 2 spaces, place another 5 hoppers forward, skip 2 spaces, another 5, skip 2, another 5, and then you technically would be skipping 2 spaces here, but in this case, it just connects over, and we'll go over what this is here in just a moment. But this is just a standard item sorter with one difference. So these hoppers are facing forward. The hoppers below those ones are facing forward. And then there's a set of hoppers below those ones that face off to the right-hand side right here. They face off this way. Why? Because they're going to take everything to an overflow area that we have set up for each item. These are standard item filters. You see here, they have your very typical sub to Prowl diamonds. Very important to make your system run extremely fast and never break. And then the item that we're going to be filtering out. Again, standard item filter. We're going to be filtering rotten flesh, gunpowder, bones, and arrows. Those are the 4 sets of things you want to filter. And the way this system is set to work, what will happen is it will fill up this row first, and then this hopper fills up, and then anything that makes it here will make its way down. It'll fill up all of these rows, and then once this last chest is filled up and this last hopper right here is filled up, now all of our rotten flesh will make its way down here and make it into the trash can. The trash can is pretty simple. It's a dropper facing towards the lava, facing forward. Comparator, repeater, comparator to make a really fast clock that is only going to cut on when items are in here. And you can see it's extremely quick. That way it cannot overflow or overload. And then once it's done running, that's it. It's done running. The clock cuts off. So we do that same thing for all 4 of these first sections. And then once we get to the last section, then you're going to have only a few items left, non-stackable items. So think swords, bows, potions, things like that. And then you're going to have all of the like oddball drops, the drops for witches, pillagers, and then your like odd zombie drops, which are potatoes, carrots, and iron. So all of those things that don't have a filter will make their way through here as well. So if you want to keep your non-stackables, or even if you don't, you're going to want to filter them out and throw them in the trash anyways. You want a non-stackable item filter, which is just the same filter as here, just without anything inside of it. Whereas these filters have stuff in it to filter through. This has nothing. What'll happen is anytime a regular item goes through here, say redstone dust from a witch, it'll just keep going. But if a sword gets here, the filter will unlock and the sword will be able to go down. That's how non-stackable works. So everything will get here. We're going to keep the non-stackables. I have 25 chests that I carry for this. That way, if I need bows for some reason, maybe to make dispensers, or I want some props, so I want to come in and get some swords or armor or something like that, I just come over here and grab it. It'll all be right here. Also, some potions will pop through here every once in a while as well, if you want to grab those. And then last but not least, everything else. So those witch drops, the redstone dust, the sugar, like that sort of thing, that'll make its way right here. And then that's it. We could add another trash can to the end if you want to. This section is kind of slow. Like you don't get anywhere near as many drops here, so it's not as big of a deal. It'll take a long time to fill all these up, but you can add on one more trash can if you like. And that's how this whole thing over here works. So we've done the same thing with both sides. Everything comes to the center here. And then one last thing you're going to want to do is you're probably going to want to put a few torches throughout anywhere that you have platforms down. That way you don't have any mobs spawn in here, which would of course kill your drop rates. Last but not least, Skulk Catalyst. We do not want XP from this thing. You only need 4 of these. You can get them from the Deep Dart. Go ahead and put down a Skulk Catalyst on each side here. Do the same thing on the other side. It can reach about 10 blocks. So as long as you're putting it somewhere roughly center on each side, it will get all of them. Now we need to be able to get up to our AFK spot here. You could do this however you want. We're going to go ahead and just build ourselves a little 3x3 platform here. There we go, little glass house to sit ourselves in. That way we don't have to worry about phantoms killing us or anything like that. And when you're ready to run this thing, you want to turn your lever on here for your trident killers. You're going to want to come up here to the center. Get on that AFK spot. And we should have, yep, I see it now. Look, there come the drops. And that should be it. Let me know how this works for you. I'm curious to see who is using it and how much you're liking it. This is definitely one of my favorite farms I've ever made. It is absolutely awesome. If you enjoyed this tutorial, click that like button and subscribe to the channel. So make sure that you do those for me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.